talked about how in the past I tend to go to ordinary places in these extraordinary places. I'll be honest, I don't know where to start at the moment. I'm going up on Ali'i Avenue, and I can see the mountain in the distance. I'm just not sure where to turn and where to turn back. Not much happens to be open at this hour, for that matter. It's all very quiet. Well, apart from the traffic, you can hear that. You see these places all over, which are really just the local take on what we consider a strip mall. It has its own color to it, no doubt, but it's all very familiar in a slightly unfamiliar way, if that makes any sense at all. Got a poke place, a sushi place, beauty salons. Again, we have these at home. Now, of course, that comes from being a Chicagoan and therefore having a certain amount of exposure to all sorts of different places just from being that level of cosmopolitan. Hard to say. I mean, one could argue that somebody from Montana or Iowa wouldn't have the kind of exposure that I do to certain establishments or types of establishments. In fairness, the concept of poke would have gotten you a blank stare from me maybe about 5 or 6 years ago too. So the world's getting to be a little smaller place, and so some of the places that are a little more out of the way aren't quite as exotic as they used to be. Of course, maybe it's just a matter of perspective. I just walked by this place called the Kailua-Kona Tower and took a look at it, and it's only really 2 stories tall with this little cupola at the top. It may well be that tower is just a matter of perspective and definition. For all I know, this place just identifies as a tower, and that's all you need. There's something to be said for wandering about, to just say, oh, stuff the map, I'm just going wherever. And if you've got the time for it, and you don't mind getting a little footsore, it's amazing what you can see. The only problem is, sometimes you run the risk of getting lost. I don't quite know where I am, but I seem to be in the middle of a vacant lot. There's a part of me that finds it hard to believe that something like this even exists in Hawaii. Everybody wants to live here. How is it that real estate is going begging? Of course, I know there's restrictions on how things are supposed to be used, and that goes doubly for this state where the locals dictate what can and cannot be done with one piece of land or another. Some places are sacred for one reason, and that's fair. But as I'm standing here, I'm trying to figure out how do I get back if I need to. Fortunately, it's an island, so there's not that far you can go. Even if I did, I'm only walking. I can't get that far from the shore. You probably can even see the ship right behind me now. And, as it so happens, a path out. Let's see if I can get back to where I was walking earlier. Yes, you can barely see the ship at the moment, but you can see the way out. Now, I just have to be careful because there's a lot of rough ground here, and while the camera doesn't show it, there's a bit of a slope to this. So I have to make sure that gravity doesn't take me sliding down all of this in order to get where I'm going. I apologize for not filming earlier as I was walking through the commercial section just outside of the docks. I didn't have much narration to give you at the time, and I still don't, as you can tell. I admit, while I enjoy watching certain walking through this city or that videos, I can't say as I like it when they go 30 minutes of just walking straight through without any real description or narration or anything like that. You don't know what's going on. It's just presented to you without context. And to be fair, I don't have a lot of context to give you myself, being a tourist, and not trying to hide it in the slightest. But still, to just show as you're walking through without explaining, okay, this is why I'm paying attention to this and not that, when there's some times where I wish the camera would turn its head one way or another. But I'm at the mercy of the cameraman, as are you listening to me. So, you remember all these ABC stores back in Honolulu when I've been there. Basically the take on local 7-Elevens, but without Slurpees and a lot more clothing. All very touristy, but it is what it is. Okay, I'm familiar with shave ice, but what makes it Scandinavian? I have to know. Alright, I have to fill you in on that. Turns out the place was closed, but apparently the reason it's called Scandinavian is because, as the fellow juggling out in front said, they give you a meatball-sized scoop of shaved ice. I'm thinking he's thinking more in terms of an Italian meatball. I pointed out to him that kutbollar are fairly small, and that would not be considered a selling point to any real Scandinavian. Still, it's another funny story as far as I'm concerned. Although for me to say that and tell you, please laugh now, seems a little bit desperate on my part. Did I see what I thought I just saw? Yeah, I did. Youth with a Mission has a headquarters, branch, I don't know what you call it here. Would not have expected that. See, that's the sort of thing that I wish those walking in Tokyo or walking in Osaka cameras would do, would be to go, hey, wait a minute, and turn around and see this, that, or the other thing as they're passing it by. Granted, I'm sure that when I do this, somebody that's watching this is going to turn around and go, hey, wait, why didn't you turn there? And I apologize for that. Some things can grab my eye, and some things will grab some other viewer's eye. And, you know, we only get the one chance, which is a bit of a shame, but that's how things are. I'd almost ask for somebody to put something in the comments as to what I really should be paying attention to, but by the time you're writing a comment, I'll have made this film, and it'll already be too late. Still, hope you're enjoying what you're seeing right now, honey.